guys, it's Bryan, your friendly neighborhood reviewer, and today I'm going to discuss Todd Rundgren's 1972 magnum opus, SomethingAnything. Do a little album showcase right here. This always reminds me of something like something you would iron on your jacket in the 70s or something like that. Some kind of floral design, I don't know. Back cover, very nice, really cool. So, get this out of here for you. That's kind of neat. Fold-up sleeve. Lots of photos. Really cool. Neat, too, because it's got all the lyrics to it as well. So, this is a little fragile. Kind of nice. All the lyrics and everything on that. Pretty cool. Yeah. Old Bearsville label. We'll go ahead and do that, too. Bearsville. Kind of neat. Bearsville label was owned by Albert Grossman, if I'm not mistaken. And Rundgren became basically almost the house producer. A little history of Todd Rundgren before we get into the album thing. But like I said, he had formed a group called the Nas. In 1968 was the first album released. But he had a minor hit with Open My Eyes, and then a minor hit with Hello, It's Me. Because Hello, It's Me was originally on Nas's first album. And he re-recorded it here just spontaneously off the cuff. Of course, it became a big top 5 hit. But so he had those 3 albums, Nas, and then I think Nas 3 or something like that. He was around for all 3. Well, he was around for the first 2. He kind of left after the second one. As him and Tony. Him and Todd Rundgren didn't get along very well. So there was a kind of a conflict with the band that broke it up. But he had left by the second album. He contributed some to the third as well. But he decided to go, and he went and did a solo album, Runt, his first solo album, which became a pretty good, decent-sized hit. He had We Gotta Get You a Woman, which was a top 20 hit, Leroy Boy and all that. Then he did the Ballaton Rundgren. That was a neat album. Those first 2 albums are really cool. Kind of show him working toward his own particular sound, vision kind of thing. And then he was very good at keyboards and guitars. He's a very good guitarist. My gosh, Todd Rundgren has, especially with Utopia, which I don't know Utopia's work that much. I'll be honest with you right now. But it's going to be something interesting to explore, although I've heard some of it. So they're more of a progressive rock kind of stuff. Todd Rundgren's an odd artist because he's a very romantic, he's wistful, he's funny, he's got a great sense of humor. On this album especially, the humor comes out tremendously, and it really is a winning, appealing album. But he's also he loves dense, experimental music. He likes doing he got bored with the pop style, so he kind of ditched it with his next album, A Wizard, a True Star. Kind of held on to a little bit, but he wanted to go more experimental. And then that was it. I mean, everything else is experimental pretty much on Todd Rundgren to a certain degree. But, it'd be a challenge to listen to, But this is certainly not a challenge. This is a fun album. For a double album, this is a lot of fun. From the first song, I Saw the Light, on side 1, which was a big hit single, I think a top 20 hit, to the last song, Slut. On side 4, which is kind of neat. He does side 4, he frames it into like a little operetta, kind of like poking fun at Pete Townsend a little bit with Tommy. So that kind of thing is popular nowadays. So I know when I did my top 25, this almost made it because it is a damn good album. He manages, kind of like Prince in a way, or Roy Wood from ELO. He can play a lot of instruments, and he can play them really good. Even the drumming on here, which he said he never drummed that much, but I mean, he wasn't a professional drummer, and he said he kept telling drummers how to play, but so he started playing drums himself, and he said he didn't play with the click track, so he kind of was going through the songs in his head as he would play. So the drumming is kind of slap happy and loose a little bit, but it's effective. It does have a live kind of sound to it. It's not so static. And in a way, it works for the album instead of against it. So kudos to him for that. But this is just a pop rock masterpiece. I mean, all these songs are have a glowing production. If you know Todd Rundgren as a producer, he's produced Hall & Oates. He's produced, my goodness, Badfinger was a big production. He got his initial start producing the band, I think. But he's produced a lot of people, including XTC's Skylarking, which, again, almost made my top 25. That was painful to leave out. But and even though that album, he kind of conflicted with Andy Partridge a lot, but on the sequencing and all that. But it's a masterful album. He is a amazing producer. It's like he has a glowing production, and yet it's very sharply defined, especially the drum sound and all that. It's very crisp, but yet has a very good aura about it. So I Saw the Light, first track on side one, starts the album off really good. Nice pop, heck of a pop number. My gosh, every time you see that's one song you never get tired of. I never get tired of because it's just such a glowing song. And it stands out on everything on the radio. It really does. When it pops on, it's like, boom, your ears perk up when you hear it. Great song. Then you go on to It Wouldn't Have Made Any Difference, which is just, oh, man, really, really beautifully done. His ballads on here. I think, too, it's interesting. Some of these songs that he does, they have kind of a swirling aspect to them because you can like on Cold Morning Light, and then you can hear that, and then on One More Day and some of that, it kind of waltzes in at a time on all this stuff. Maybe because the drumming, because he wasn't doing the click track drumming. Amazing how he does that because these songs keep you interested. With the production style, with the little quirky things he does, with the tricks of going in and out of style, in and out of time, and things like that, really cleverly done. But you go from I Saw the Light to It Wouldn't Have Made Any Difference to Wolfman Jack, which is incredible. Most people call it like a Motown kind of parody. Talking about Wolfman Jack, the famous radio DJ personality at the time. But classic Todd Rundgren with that slapping, drum sound every time. Love that. But then you got Cold Morning Light that kind of like waltzes in that time a little bit. Like I said, Takes Two to Tango. That's a great song too. Sweeter Memories. The second side starts with the intro, in which he kind of plays a little studio game, talking about see if you can find the hums and the sounds and the hisses and the bad editing, and whoever finds the most sounds wins. But all that enhances this album. And even the studio games like that, which I think Robert Christgau, the famous Village Voice critic, usually he says stuff like that irritates him. But here it adds context and character to the album, and I absolutely agree, it does. But Breathless, great instrumental that he puts together. Night That Burned the Carousel Down, that's a wild one. That is a wild song. It's one of his early experimental kind of things, really. And boy, it works. It's very weird, it's a very odd song. An experimental piece that works for him. Sometimes the experimental pieces work, sometimes they don't. It's hit and miss a little bit with Todd Rundgren. But then you get to Saving Grace, beautiful ballad. But he's always like struggling with romance and stuff like that. So it's very relatable. It's a very easy album to relate to. And you got, like I said, Marlene. Again, great song. Song to the Viking, hilarious, absolutely hilarious. I Went to the Mirrors, a weird piece. I don't even know how to describe it, but it's really bizarre. But again, it kind of works. And then you get on the third side, which he kind of has these kind of labeled as different sides, like, the bouquet of melody sides and the Kid Gets Heavy side and all that. It's kind of a loose but fun album. But Black Mariah is almost like metal. His guitar playing, wow, really cool on that. Shows what a good guitarist he is. One More Day, another most infectious little songs that you'll stick in your head forever. There's just so much good music on here. Couldn't I Just Tell You? Wow, that's a pivotal piece. That's one of his greatest tracks. Now, it didn't even go, it wasn't even really a big hit single. It was only like, I think it'd make the top 100, but barely. And that's a shame, because this song is killer. I don't get that, man. I just tell you, some critics decided it as a perfect power pop song. Well, it is. I don't know how influential it is, but it certainly is an amazing song. But, wow, a great, great killer song, man. And again, the time lapse. He kind of time lapses the intro, and then he gets into it, and then drives it, and he kind of slows down. Wild how he does it. Again, I think because he didn't have a click track, it kind of has that loose feel to it, but it works. It really works on this. Kudos to him for that, definitely. Yeah, Torch Song, freaking gorgeous. Little Red Lights, that's another one. Again, a really heavy, with him on slide kind of guitar. Amazing song, really cool, really neat, really neatly done. And then the fourth side is the Operetta, as he calls it. Again, kind of being funny toward Pete Townsend. But it starts off with a couple old tracks, Group Money that he was in, and then Woody's Truck Stop. So it's kind of neat because those are two old takes from his old bands that he was in before joining the Nas. So that's kind of neat. It has a little, historical value to it as well. But the guitar's good too. Then it gets into Dust in the Wind, which is written by Mooney Klingman. What a name. But he actually went on to form Utopia with Todd Rundgren. That whole side, Dust in the Wind, of course, is Klingman's song, so that was cool. And then you get just Piss Aaron, which is freaking hilarious. So I love that song. But again, the humor that comes out from that, you get like, oh my goodness, hello, it's me. And then, you left me sore. It's just hilarious stuff. Some folks even wider than me. Crazy titles. But it's a fun album. It's a loose structure. It's fun. Great pop songs. Really killer production on this. I mean, you can see why this album was a big hit. And it basically made his career. But he abandoned it, though. After this album, he wouldn't do this kind of pop stuff anymore. He felt he was getting tagged. Like, well, whatever, you're good at this. It's like, whatever. But it's cool. It's kind of like Prince. They follow their muse wherever. And that's what he did. Good or bad, depending on what you think. But regardless, he will always be known for this album, Something Anything. It's a killer record. It's classic Todd Rundgren. It's about the closest you're going to get to a really cool and perfect album from him, which, by the way, it is. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. This is a masterpiece. This is a classic album from him. You got to have this in your collection. I mean, not even just for the hit singles, but my gosh, the independent recording that he does on those three sides is groundbreaking. His production is groundbreaking. Everything about this album is groundbreaking, even though it seems like a little collection of simple little pop songs, though. It's a lot more than that. There's so much more to this album. As far as, like I said, the production, little studio tricks and things that he does, the pickup band. A lot of people based a lot of careers on this album. A really cool album. Kudos to him for that. And a lot of guest people play on this album, too. Rick Vito, who actually would appear later on in Fleetwood Mac. He's on this album. The Brecker brothers, Walter Brecker and Randy Brecker, they helped out on this album as well. It's a great album. Definitely need to have in your collection. Kudos to him. It's just a great album. But anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate all this. Hope you like the review. Let me know what you think of this album. Let me know about Todd Rundgren. What do you think about Todd Rundgren? I know there's a lot of Rundgren fans, so I apologize. I don't know a lot about Utopia. It's going to be interesting for me to pick up some of their albums, though, and kind of give it a shot. But Todd Rundgren's a great artist. He really is. And as a producer, for producers to have such a stamp on an artist's work is amazing. And he stamps his personality on every artist's work, no matter who he works with, whether it's Hall & Oates or whether it's whoever. Paul Butterfield. He has done always amazing work. But anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it. Take care of yourself. Be good to each other. Love each other. God bless. Thank you.